This. Vice Mayor Santa Cruz.
Here.
Mayor Romero.
Here. Should we ask Mr. Fimbres again?
Mr. Fimbres.
Alrighty, he's there somewhere, but.
I saw Mary on there. He's probably having some technical issues.
Alrighty, so before we go to item 2, the city attorney will go over, this is not this space, right? Yeah. Before we go, to item 2, the city attorney will go over the rules of decorum for mayor and council meetings. Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Arizona's open meeting laws provide that members of the public may attend and listen to the proceedings during tonight's public meeting of the mayor and council. Arizona law also allows the mayor and council to enforce rules and procedures for public attendance to ensure orderly behavior and to prevent any unnecessary interference with the public meeting. So here are the rules that apply. The rules require decorum and orderly conduct by members of the audience. No person attending the meeting shall engage in conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting, including any statements or conduct that interrupts persons who might be addressing the mayor and council or that disrupts the discussions of the mayor and council themselves. The mayor has the authority to ensure compliance with the rules of orderly conduct. If disorderly or disruptive conduct continues after a warning, and this is that first warning, the mayor may direct the removal of persons from the chambers or recess the meeting itself if necessary. If disruptive behavior makes it necessary to clear the chambers, the persons who disrupted the meeting will not be allowed to return to the chambers for the remainder of the meeting. As a final note, please be aware that interfering with or preventing a lawful public meeting from being carried out in an orderly manner not only violates these rules of participation, but also violates Title 13 of the Arizona Revised Statutes.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Item 2.
Invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, and appointments to boards, committees, and commissions.
The invocation will be given by Pastor Ashley Evans of the 22nd Street Baptist Church. After the invocation, I ask that you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
In prayer, Father, we give you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Psalm 118 says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His faithful love endures forever." If you're so inclined, I invite the members of this meeting to join me in prayer. Father, we give you thanks. We give you thanks for this great city. Lord, I thank you for the beauty of the mountains that surround us. Within minutes, we can be up in nature enjoying your beautiful creation. God, I give you thanks that we don't have the traffic that the city up north has. God, I give you thanks that we have the best Mexican food in all the country. And God, I give you thanks that even though no city is perfect, we get to come to meetings like this, address our concerns, and go away from here committed to make this city even better than it was before. Lord, be with our city council and leaders, be with each person here, and Lord, help us to do all we can to glorify you. In Christ's name I pray, amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your Honor, Pastor Ashley is from Terra del Sol Church in Ward 2.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for gracing us with your presence. We really appreciate it. And also proclaiming that we have the best Mexican food. I'm just saying. Alrighty, item 2C are presentations. I would like to proclaim March 4th, 2025 to be Procurement Day and Procurement Professionals Day. And I know that we have a bunch of wonderful people that will be with us. Nathan Dow, the Procurement Administrator, Norma Camacho, Principal Contract Officer, Nora Corral, Senior Contract Officer, Salvador Servin, Contract Officer, Leticia Riesgo, Senior Contract Officer, Sonia Lasso, Senior Contract Officer, Tracy Garcia, Procurement Manager, Rolf Averill, Contract Officer, Christopher Jeffroy, Contract Officer, Garrett Gillespie, Contract Officer, Chad Fields, Labor Compliance Officer 1, Maria Hartke, Contract Officer, and Casey Adams, Principal Contract Officer. And then I have Lloyd Windle and Vanessa Stevens. Meet me up there and I'll be right there with you. And if anyone wants to join me from the council, please feel Hello, everyone. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We're celebrating you all and what you do in your professions. And so we highly appreciate the work that you do. Procurement officers really value add to the work that we offer, the services that we provide to our community. You do everything from procuring our parks, and different capital projects in our parks. You procure the widgets that we buy and make sure that we get the best deal and the best product. And everything that you do really makes the work and the services that we provide the residents of Tucson much better. So what I'll do is I'll give you all this, if you'd like to hold it, and I will read. I have big letters, so you can. So on behalf of the city of Tucson and the office of the mayor, I would like to proclaim March 2025 as Procurement Month in the city of Tucson, and March 12th, 2025 to be Procurement Professionals Day. So with that, whereas the public procurement profession plays a significant role in the efficiency and effectiveness of both government and business. And whereas procurement professionals add value to the organization by performing such functions as executing, implementing, and administering contracts for goods, services, and construction, developing strategic procurement strategies, and cultivating working relationships with suppliers and other departments within the organization. And whereas the procurement professionals in the city of Tucson and other public organizations are uniquely positioned to build public trust in our government institutions by diligently ensuring fair and open bidding opportunities to the vending community and providing transparency in government contracting. And whereas the procurement professionals in the city of Tucson are instrumental in executing the mayor and council's vision for contract-related programs such as the Small Business Enterprise Program, Living Wage Program, and the Prevailing Wage Program. And whereas the procurement professionals in the city of Tucson recognize, support, and practice the public procurement values and guiding principles of accountability, ethics, impartiality, professionalism, service, and transparency established by the NGP, the Institute for Public Procurement, as fundamental tenets of the public procurement profession. And whereas NIGP has proclaimed the month of March as Procurement Month to further expand the awareness of procurement professionals' role to government officials, the general public, business, and corporate leaders. Now, therefore, I, Regina Romero, Mayor of the City of Tucson, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2025 as Procurement Month and March 12th, 2025 as Procurement Professionals Day in the City of Tucson, and urge all of our residents to join the City of Tucson in recognizing the role of the purchasing and materials management profession within business, industry, and government. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Tucson, Arizona, to be affixed this 4th day of March, 2025. Congratulations, and thank you for all you do. Did you want to say anything? Anyone?
All right. Well, Mayor, thank you very much for this proclamation. We really appreciate it. And I'm so happy that we have about half of your procurement team here. And I just want to say that, the main piece of enabling legislation that gives us the authority to act and sets the parameters for how we act is the collection of city ordinances adopted by mayor and council that we refer to as the Tucson Procurement Code. So all of these folks know within their first week in their onboarding, I have them read the entire procurement code. I walk them through it line by line. Over the course of about 8 hours, they love every minute of it. But they're the subject matter experts in that, and they really carry out the mayor and council's vision for that. So just if I can mention some of the folks that we have here, we have folks from our contracting team. We have a team of 20 folks that procure about $400 million worth of contracts each year and negotiate those with the assistance of Mike Rankin's fantastic attorneys. And we have folks from our Small Business Enterprise Program, a program created by the Mayor and Council's ordinance, who set subcontracting goals for the primes to subcontract work to different subs. And we have folks from our labor compliance program who make sure that employees of primes and subcontractors receive the prevailing wages that they are owed. So that's just a few of the folks here that work hard day in and day out to carry out the Mayor and Council's vision that you've set for us in the Tucson Procurement Code. So we really thank you. Thank you, Council Member, too.
Thank you, and we really appreciate all your work. We really do. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
if you want to turn around, just turn around. Stand where you are and turn around, and we'll take a picture during this fight. And if you want to open the, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, we move on to item 2D,
Appointments to boards, committees, and commissions.
City Manager's Communication number 65 dated March 4th is received into and made part of the record. Are there any personal appointments to be made at this time? Hearing none, we move on to item 3.
Mayor and council report summary of current events.
City Manager's Communication number 61 dated March 4th is received into and made part of the record. This time has been scheduled to allow members of the Mayor and Council to report on current events. These are to be current events of activities within the community, not position statements on policy issues. Does any council member have anything to report at this time? Councilmember Figueres, and then we'll start over here at the dais.
Remember, March is Women's History Month. I want to encourage everyone to reflect on the contributions that women have made in our great city and country and county. Here at home, we are lucky to have the leadership of Mayor Marina Romero, the first woman and first Latino mayor of Tucson. I want to commend Vice Mayor Lane of the Cruz, council members Nikki Lee and Carola for their leadership and commitment to our city. Thank you all for doing this, Madam Mayor. I want to congratulate my chief of staff, Peter Robles, and my Mayor Kuchar, Lady and Cindy Gonzalez. I want to thank our city manager, Tim Turner, and our city CFO, and Rosemary for putting on yesterday's budget town hall. It was very well attended here. Our employees learned and provided input on the budget process. I heard very good things about yesterday's event, and I want to commend both Tim and Annie for their efforts. I want to congratulate the Sunnyside High School girls wrestling team, coaching on winning their first state championship. Armstrong, Ali Ibarra, Aisha Villalobos, Solila Ponce, Jasmine Wyatt, Jaylene Alfaro, Miranda Marquez, Alex Robles, Ali Robles, Alexandra Maroki, Neil Vasquez, Bianca Coble, Diana Castaneda, Isabel Vasquez, Diablo Martinez, Sonny Robles, Dina Puentes, and Sarah Moreno, coaches Joel Zapata, Ray Martinez, Ricky Villegas, James Armstrong. I want to praise their hard work and dedication that led them to achieve the significant victories, promoting to our city go back Blue Devils, which is Ward 5. Thank you, member. That's all I got.
Thank you, council member. We're gonna start with Ward 6 and then go down the line. Councilmember Luke, Councilwoman Lee, Councilmember Dahl. Did you want to add a summary of current events?
No, we're gonna start with Ward 6.
Oh, we did. Everybody skipped up until you.
Sorry, I'll fill in the space. I have 5 announcements. Details on these are in the Ward 3 newsletter, which you can read online or subscribe to. Parks and Recreation is doing community conversations about food distribution at city parks. There's a virtual one tomorrow evening and in person at the Donna Liggins Center this Saturday. At my ward office, United Way Vita is providing tax preparation help for individuals and families who earn up to $79,000 annually, Saturday mornings in our community room. The Rito Bend Neighborhood Association is having a family-friendly spring arts and music festival, Saturday, March 8th at Valley of the Moon. On Saturday, March 15th, the Amphi neighborhood is having a resource fair. Finally, I want to give a hearty congratulations to our colleague, Vice Mayor Santa Cruz, for being recognized by the Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation at their annual Out Brunch this past Saturday. Vice Mayor Santa Cruz was honored by SAAF as the 2025 Richard Elias Public Servant Awardee in honor of her community leadership and advocacy on behalf of Ward 1 and indeed the entire city of Tucson. As someone who called Supervisor Elias a friend and recognized him as a stellar public servant, I know how proud he would be of this recognition. Congratulations, Vice Mayor.
Councilmember Cunningham?
It's that time of year. First of all, this week, most of the little leagues in town are starting their opening day. Rincon, Cactus Empire, Randolph, Western, they're all starting this week. So good luck to all the teams that are participating. That same goes for slow pitch softball, Saguaro, Randolph, Western. They're all starting. So really exciting that we've hit that season. The other piece is I really want to take some license and congratulate 3 Ward 2 schools. Saguaro High School was ranked #1 in the state all year. They lost in the playoffs, but they had a great season. Palo Verde High School made it all the way to the state final, and they did a great job. And I just can't tell you how proud of the Palo Verde Titans we are on the east side. Not only did that happen, but Palo Verde High School Student Council came together with Wheeler Elementary Wildcats about a week ago at Terra del Sol Park. And the big thing is we had a very random act of violence in that park about 6 months ago. And as a result, kids were kind of nervous about going to the park. But thanks to Jen Warnstedt, my former colleague at Apollo Middle School, who grew up in that neighborhood, we actually repainted all the tables and had the kids from Wheeler put their handprints on them. And during the event, we also had members of Palo Verde Titans Student Council attend and kind of help the kids with the painting part. So it was a great event. So I'm really proud of that school. And finally, that brings me to the Gregory School, which happens to also be in Ward 2. Congratulations to their team who won their 2nd state championship in a row in basketball. I will like to mention that all 3 of those schools had players that used to participate in the Ward 2 program, Wednesday Hoops, which is a free program for basketball for middle school kids after school that we hold during the year. And so I don't want to say it's because of Wednesday Hoops they did it, but I think it's still good to point out that they all participated. I also wanted to thank all the people who showed out for the cleanup last week on the east side. Many more to come, and that's the end of my report.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Dahl, for your kind words and for the recognition. I want to just remind the public that at a November 7, 2024 study session, our Mayor and Council directed our Parks and Rec staff to host community dialogues exploring ways that the city can support local food distribution efforts by faith-based organizations and mutual aid groups to community members experiencing food insecurity, and while also addressing neighborhood and food safety concerns. So the first conversation that'll be facilitated by the Center for Community Mediation will be virtual this Wednesday, March 5th, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. over Zoom. And then in person Saturday, March 8th at 9 a.m. to 11:30 at the Donna Liggins Center. And I believe Parks has a registration link for that. Then on Saturday, March 8th, we have two events coming up back to back at from Rose Neighborhood. We're gonna have Tucson Clean and Beautiful and Barrio Restoration do a cleanup around the neighborhood. So the public is invited to join. It's at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And the meetup location is at Rodeo Park Wash behind CE Rose Elementary School. And then on Saturday, March 15th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., coming back together to join Tucson Clean and Beautiful for tree planting in the neighborhood. Join us in planting trees to grow our tree canopy, strengthen our communities, and support Mayor Romero's Tucson Million Trees initiative. The location for that will be at the CE Rose Neighborhood Park at 710 West Michigan Street. And then this coming Sunday, March 9th from 9 to 11, join us for our West Side Ride, BCC Burros. The morning bike ride takes place on the second Sunday of each month. Starting at the Ward 1 office, we ride through the West Side, downtown, and enjoy a fun community center cycling experience. We meet at the Ward 1 office at 940 West Alameda Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I too want to add how proud I am of you being recognized with the Southern Arizona Aid Foundations, especially receiving the Richard Elias Public Servant Award. As you and I well know, and so many other in our community, Richard Elias was an authentic and wonderful person that carried truth and spoke truth to power, and had so much lessons for all of us. And so a mentor to you and I and so many others. It is beautiful to see you receiving that award because you are carrying his legacy in your service to our community. So thank you. I too feel very proud of you receiving that award, not just for yourself, but for so many of us at that stage. So also March is Women's History Month, and March 8th is International Women's Day. This month for me, it's a time to think about the women in my life that have made my leadership and work as mayor possible. I can't start by talking about women and women mentors without talking about my mother and my sisters. They're super strong women and aunts that really taught me how to take a stand. And even if sometimes you're afraid as a woman to say something, to be able to say the truth that we carry as women. Dolores Huerta and so many other women here in this community have really shaped the way that I see the world, including Mona Grijalva, Isabel Garcia, so many other women, including Alba Torres, Donna Liggins, like so many women that have made a difference in the life of Tucsonans and have served our community. It really is beautiful to be able to see the generations of women, including these women up here that I serve with, Councilman Lee, Vice Mayor Santa Cruz, Councilmember Ulick, who took me by the hand when I first came to work for the city of Tucson. Thank you for everything that you do to be good servants. And so let's take a moment, all of this month, to really celebrate the women that have made such a difference, not just in our country in Arizona, but here in Tucson. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the women in leadership across all departments in the city of Tucson. And if you could see up here in the dais where all of our administrators sit, 4 out of 6 are women. And so I just want to thank Mr. Tamir, our city manager, for really bringing to your team such incredible leadership. Thank you all for your dedicated service and leadership to our community. We really appreciate it. Tomorrow, On another note, tomorrow, March 5th, is the last day to mail in your ballot for the special election on Proposition 414. Make sure your voice is heard and don't wait until March 6th. March 5th, which is tomorrow, is the last day to mail your ballot. If you don't mail it in tomorrow, you can always walk it in on election day to the more than 6 voting centers that we have in Tucson and drop off your ballot. And with that, I have no other announcements, but we will be asking our city manager for his announcement. So item 4.
City Manager's Report, Summary Current Events.
City Manager's Communication number 62 dated March 4th is received into and made part of the record. This time has been scheduled to allow the city manager to report on current events. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, very much. For tonight, I just have one announcement. It's a little bit different, and I don't want to steal Councilmember Dahl's prop comic shtick here, but we got invited to a wedding. And by we, I mean the entire city of Tucson. I'm not going to suggest we all show up. But we received this kind note from a couple that they actually live in San Diego. And they wrote a note about how they met in Tucson at the University of Arizona. They fell in love with each other and with Tucson. And I'm just going to read a couple snippets from it. They talk about their journey and they list Gates Pass, various U of A buildings, restaurants, bars, the movies. Their 1 month anniversary was at the Desert Museum, and they have a love lock downtown. They come back to Tucson, it brings back memories, and they've decided to actually have their wedding here in Tucson. And so they wanted Tucson to be where they got married as well. So they say, thank you for being the most quirky, interesting, culinarily advanced, weird, cactus-heavy little town that still amazes us Idahoan. So it's from Alyssa, Lynn, and John. And this is just the first time I've seen something like that. So I wanted to share that with everybody. Thank you, Mayor.
That is so cool. Just give me the time and location and let us know if they have an open bar or not. Cash bar, okay. Item 5.
Liquor License Applications.
City Manager's Communication number 66 dated March 4th is received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, please read the liquor license agenda.
Your Honor, on this evening's agenda, we have one application for person location transfer and 5 special event applications. All applications are in compliance with city requirements, so an appropriate motion would be to forward items 5B1 and 5C1 through 5C5 to the State Liquor Board with a recommendation of approval.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion carries. Item 6.
Call to the audience.
Ms. Clerk, please read the announcements.
At this time, the public is allowed to address the mayor and council on any issue except for items scheduled for a public hearing at this meeting. Call to the audience will last approximately 30 minutes, and speakers are limited to 3-minute presentations. The green light will turn on when you begin speaking. It will turn yellow and beep when you have 30 seconds left to speak. When your 3 minutes are up, the light turns red and the timer will beep again. If that happens, please immediately conclude your remarks. Thank you.
All righty. Is that thing working? Okay, so our first speaker is Dominic Meister. Can you please use the tall mic? There you go. Thank you.
City Council and Mayor, my name is Dominic Meister and I live in Ward 3 in Pima County. I represent no group. I'm here to speak on an issue of common sense. I'm speaking on the recurring misuse of taxpayer dollars, wasteful spending that will only worsen under Prop 414. Sources report that nearly $1 million was spent promoting this one-sided proposition which pretends to benefit public safety. But the reality is that the minimum that taxpayers are supposed to be provided by you as our leaders will not be accomplished now. It will only have a chance when we fund your self-serving political ideologies using Prop 414. City Manager Tomer called the city's stance on Prop 414 neutral, yet SWAT vehicles and police on overtime were used to promote it. The voter info pamphlet buried the one and only opposition under pages of pro 414 arguments. Neutral? Hardly. At Regina Romero's annual address, I had a talk with the East Side Police Chief who said they were, and I quote, clawing, biting, and scratching for basic equipment like bullets and vests. This is a clear push for a yes vote under the guise of funding tree planting while we are in a drought, social programs that promote long-term government dependence rather than real opportunity or contribution. Prop 312 was an opportunity to address homelessness and crime, but as you leaders ignored the public's frustration, instead you chose to plant trees while ignoring issues like unsafe buses, open-air drug use in broad daylight, and rampant theft, just to name a few. Now with Prop 312 as law, property and business owners must sue over rejected claims, wasting city time, money, and resources to reclaim what's rightfully theirs. Tucson's poorest areas are the most affected. I worked third shift at Circle K on Stone and Fort Lowell, and I saw firsthand delayed police responses, sometimes up to 12 hours, repeat offenders with zero accountability, no enforcement against panhandling, all while tax revenue funds the stunting of economic growth. Yet, what does the city prioritize? Salary hikes, $700,000 electric garbage trucks, $20,000 for 26 trees for Viva projects to quote unquote stop gun violence. The urban forestry manager for the 1 Million Trees initiative is listed on the city's website as making up to $95,000 annually. That's more than the police officers who risk their lives every single day to keep us safe, whose salary is listed at $65,000 annually. Tucson's leadership hasn't proven that they can manage funds responsibly. You have failed miserably. We the people have had enough. I'm voting no on Prop 414 and hope others do the same. Prop 414 only protects your reckless spending. Tucson doesn't need more tax hikes.
Alrighty, thank you. Catherine White. Catherine White.
Good evening. My name is Catherine White. I am a resident of Tucson. I am a former public school teacher, a current government contractor, a military spouse, and a child of 2 career police officers from my home state of Florida. I know Prop 414 has sort of been talked to death, but I am here to specifically and vehemently oppose the bloating and militarization of the Tucson police force via 414, regardless of the outcome of the special election. Though today the police officers seem to be assisting quite well with the protests that I passed on the way here, last May we saw the behavior of the Tucson police force when faced with University of Arizona students exercising their right to protest. The first dispersal request by the police officers contained a promise of violence. Tucson police used tear gas, rubber bullets, and pepper spray to violate student protesters' rights to peaceably gather. Just last month, 2 male Pima County deputies entered a women's restroom in an attempt to violate a woman's right to bodily autonomy, unreasonable search, and the security of using a public restroom in peace. In fact, they put all women in that bathroom in danger by entering as males, armed. Now with the proposals under 414, you are calling for $530 million toward police and fire departments. While some of the funding is earmarked for addition of personnel, which I certainly do not argue with, there's also been talk of overblown, unnecessary technological luxuries, surveillance drones, and a plane. There are no funds listed for the introduction or expansion to de-escalation or crisis intervention programs or jail diversion programs. The addition of community responders like mental health professionals to work side by side with our peacekeeping forces. The entire budget seems to be laid out not to increase the safety of residents, but to increase the capacity for aggression by the police. In a time when the federal government is making sweeping changes daily, which amount to the breaking of our governmental laws and our constitutional rights, we cannot allow our peacekeeping forces here in Tucson to operate in this institutionalized manner. I am calling on you, our city council, and you, Mayor Romeo, to instruct our peacekeeping forces to protect your constituents and the Constitution, which forms the country which we have declared allegiance to at the start of this very meeting. Tucson Police Chief Chad Kazmar said of 414, policing is really expensive. Well, I'd respond that we can do better. Upholding the Constitution is a worthy expenditure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Ben Lucero.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm going to read a letter that was sent on behalf of my co-president in Peoria. It says, greetings, Mayor and Council. My name is Joshua Capila, President of Local 3282 in Peoria. I was looking forward to attending your City Council meeting today. Due to scheduling issues, I could not attend. So I wrote a letter to show support for Local 905, the President Ben Lucero. My goal in this letter is to encourage Mayor Romero, council members, and City Manager Tim Tamir to bridge the divide between the workers and the appointed politicians in the city of Tucson. I have learned that when a city values its union, the city, the union, and most importantly, the citizens reap the reward and well-being of being an employer of choice. When a city and a union bridge bargain in good faith, that faith produces relationship, forming an unbreakable chain between the city and the union. When the city or the union falls short, respecting one another, workers and citizens lack essential services and retention. Everything we do requires good faith in pursuit of happiness. As our American Constitution promotes, I want to encourage the city to be open-minded, fair, and loving in a process that has stood for decades and improved everyone's lives with fair wages, rights, and working conditions. I have worked with Mayor Beck, the City Council, City Manager Mr. Darwin, and the Human Resources to understand everyone's needs, including the city, the union, and the residents. We have completed our bargaining in good faith, and faith produced good work for everyone. I am proud of the city of Peoria and that our union for what we accomplished in such a political climate and economic certainty for many families. I want to highlight what good faith can produce when a city and a union have one common goal, a quality of life for everyone. The city of Peoria and Ashby Local 3282 accomplishments are these agreed upon treasured wins. A 5% merit and a 2.5% COLA in year one. In 2026 and 2027, the city and the union will open up the contract negotiations and understand and promote good faith with one another. Longevity increased by 25% to honor those who have committed and dedicated their lives to the city. A 5-minute break for field workers every hour when temperatures exceed normal temperatures to keep our employees safe. Unprecedented seniority rights that have never been agreed on in 37 years. Medical insurance that helps our employees avoid hardship by offering good plans.
Come to a conclusion, Mr. Lucero. Thank you. Mitchell Salazar. Mitchell Salazar.
City Council and Mayor, my name is Mitchell Salazar. I live directly west of the university, and I am speaking for myself and members of my community. Tucson, Arizona Code of Ordinances, Section 16-31 establishes maximum permissible sound levels. In this ordinance, it states that between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. for residential properties, the maximum permissible sound level projected beyond property lines is 62 decibels. For reference, a Google search shows a normal conversation or gentle rainfall is approximate to 62 decibels. One of the properties in our community is regularly rented out to university students and is regularly in violation of this. This has been a long-standing issue with a specific property in our community. Over the last 2 years since I have been a resident of this specific community, I personally, as well as at least one other member I have confirmed, have consistently called 911 to enforce this ordinance in relation to this property. Thankfully to the efforts of TPD and specifically the red tag unit, we have been able to address this issue in the previous scholastic year. Since the start of this new scholastic year with the return of the students renting the property, the issues have returned. Efforts to address this during this current scholastic year have unfortunately had ineffective results. One of the largest obstacles has been Tucson Public Safety Communications, who operates the 911 and 311 lines. I have been informed of a policy of theirs to not put in a call for noise ordinance violations for a TPD dispatch unless the ordinance is in correspondence of 5 or more people and verification of such. Due to this policy, it effectively makes the noise ordinance nearly meaningless itself. Along with this, even when a call is put in for TPD response, it is often slow or simply does not occur. I have been informed and understand there is a significant manning issue for the TPD and the low priority of the issue. I understand students want to have fun and enjoy their time. This does not change that this is a consistent recurring issue and affects multiple residents of my community and is in a negatively and impactful way. I imagine our community is not alone in issues of similarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Warake.
Good evening, esteemed Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing us to speak tonight. I just want to start, as I usually do at this time, by giving thanks for this process of public opinion, public input, just because my own exposure to other countries, other places in this world where people aren't allowed to speak, and speaking your opinion in public could lead to death or imprisonment. So this is a very important part of the meeting. Thank you for that. I also want to speak on Proposition 414. I'm speaking not only for myself, but for Barrio Santa Cruz Neighborhood Association, of which I'm a co-chairperson. We're not just a homeowners association. We organize in order to improve and help our own community, because about 7 or 8 years ago, we were at a real low point to where we were overwhelmed by drug use, violence, infrastructure that was failing in the streets and parks and things like that. So we organized and we reached out and we were ready to fight. We were not going to quit our cause until we got that improvement in our neighborhood. We were pleasantly surprised. We reached out to our council member, to the city of Tucson. And I could say we got to know people from every department, from TPD to parks, to housing, transportation, mobility, water. I'm pretty sure we could go through every department and we could tell you there was a person in this department that looked at our situation and said, yeah, we're going to make it our job to help you. And that was really inspiring, and it helped us do better work. And it helped us believe that change was possible. The other thing that we encountered with every issue, with every problem we tried to solve, is where's the funding coming from? Where do we get the money to help with the crime, to help with the drug addiction? And somehow or another, we were able to find it. Our council member at the time, Mayor Romero, did a great job of helping us meet the people that could help us make these improvements, fix our neighborhood. We went from being a place that was uncomfortable, unsafe, homes we didn't want to go home to at the end of the day. And now we have a strong community that's united and safe and continues to make improvements. Now to move on to the subject of the proposition, we've discussed this in our neighborhood. And the first thing that came up is times are really hard right now. When I get my check, when it's direct deposited in my bank, I don't see it. It goes straight out to bills. Our groceries, we get 2 bags of groceries that cost $100. So can we afford to make this payment? And what we came up to was we cannot afford not to. All right, we're still in the middle of a drug epidemic. We're still in the middle of major gun violence. And everybody knows someone who's either addicted, who's either been moved out of their house due to a higher rent, or has lost their lives to violence in the streets. You can't turn on the news
each day without hearing about someone lost to gun violence. We can all read online what this proposition can do for the city. It's not just a new plane for the TPD, but it addresses each and every of these problems and will give us a safer place to live. I'm sorry for going over my time. I just want to say with funding being cut, if we do not bring in more funding to the city, we're not going to be able to keep up. We're going to be knocked back and these epidemics will overcome us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Warake. Really appreciate it. Finn Anderson. Finn Anderson.
Hi, everybody. I first came to Tucson in 1948. That's when you could see the Milky Way at Reed Park. I was 6 years old. To help you figure out my age, because I know it's going through your mind, I'm 83 years old. I was a school teacher, a high school principal, and a school superintendent. I also chaired a committee comprised of the FBI, IRS, and ATF to go after organized crime and arson for profit schemes. But that's not why I'm here. My wife, Mitchell, and I organized the first protest in the nation at the Tesla dealership against Trump and Musk. The one we had last Saturday was national news at CNN, New York Times, and MSNBC. We're very happy about how 1,320 people there at that time. So as we were the first to organize these, we would like you to be the first in the nation to pass the following resolution. It's titled, No Executive Overreach, Supporting the United States Constitution and Defending Our Democracy. It reads as follows. Whereas the Mayor and Council of Tucson, Arizona, believes nothing is more sacred to our democracy than the United States Constitution. Whereas the Mayor and Council feels an essential part of our Constitution are the three first articles, establishing the three separate but equal branches of the United States government. Whereas the Mayor and Council has witnessed the consolidation of power in the executive branch by the current president through the following actions. The revocation of the birthright citizenship, freezing of federal spending approved by Congress, shuttering of federal agencies, generally demonstrating a pattern of absurding the duties of the legislative branch, violating due process and civil service protections for federal employees, threatening to deport people based on political views, disobeying judicial mandates, polarizing law enforcement and the military, chilling debate by threatening legislators not loyal to him, generally expressing contempt by the separation of powers, freedom and speech, and equal justice under the law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council believe that those elected to office have a duty to protect the Constitution and must act in urgency. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council strongly urge the United States Congressional Delegation of the state of Arizona to take the lead in pressing their colleagues, my last sentence, to stand up and reclaim the constitutional duty as an equal partner of running the United States government. We have a copy for you to consider.
Thank you,
if
Mr.
consider it,
Anderson.
appreciate it.
We do have a member of the clerk's office that still needs to get your phone number and email address, just so that someone can contact you for further information. And our last speaker is Dale Drain.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's the second time, and certainly not the last. I want to take the time to thank you or whoever was involved in allowing code enforcement complaints to take pictures. Because when I first started, that wasn't allowed. And why? Common sense, if somebody's sending problem pictures in, you can look at them and act on them. So that kind of led me to believe somebody was concealing something. I want to thank you for relocating the code enforcement agency. I understand that's now under planning and development. Baby steps, unfortunately. I'm curious, and I hope I can get an answer. Are planning and developmental services, PDSD, and code enforcement, CE, and the floodplain construction limitations, are those relevant to the city? Somebody.
Sir, if you could just continue with your comments during call of the audience.
Okay.
There can't be a back and forth discussion.
Okay. Thank you for helping with that. I had a meeting with the Planning and Development Department and Code Enforcement Departments. At that time, I had a book like this. I've spent a lot of money putting this stuff together. There's a lot of corruption going on. You want to save money? You've got millionaires in this town because they're screwing the city out of money on building permits. That's the reality. Look up the goat of Tucson, Eddie Waters. It's a YouTube video. It's only 43 minutes. Has anybody looked at it? I brought it up before. I doubt it, but that's malfeasance. Because you see, he tells how he spent $1,100,000 buying a property. He and his partners invested $1 million and didn't take out building permits. I turned it in 6 months ago. You still let them be occupied. Are you kidding me? Not only that, that's 1030 East Lee Street. You've got students that are in those buildings that have never been inspected. These cover properties before 326 East French Road. I went to planning and development with pictures of 326 East Prince Road. I showed them it's being done right now, and you're not stopping it. I'll be back another time.
Thank you, Mr. Drain. Really appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone, for attending Call to the Audience. That was our last speaker, and so we're moving on to item 7.
Consent agenda, items A and B.
Reports from the city manager on the consent agenda are received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read the consent agenda.
Item A is approval of minutes. Item B is a financial participation agreement with Tucson Clean and Beautiful TCB for fiscal year FY 24-25.
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, we do need to go to roll call.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz.
Aye.
Mr. Dahl.
Aye.
Mr. Fimbres.
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham.
Aye.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye.
Mick Sulek. Mayor Romero.
Aye. The items on the consent agenda are approved by a vote of 7-0. Item 8.
Public hearing, bingo license application, Arnett Creek LLC, 7215 East 22nd Street, Suite 101.
City Manager's Communication number 67 dated March 4th is received into and made part of the record. This time and place is legally advertised for a public hearing to take formal action on a bingo license application for Arnett Creek LLC. This public hearing is scheduled to last for no more than 1 hour. Speakers are limited to 5-minute presentations. Do we have any speakers, please?
No, ma'am.
We have no speakers at the time. Is anyone here in the audience wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move to close the public hearing, Your Honor.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion carries. The public hearing is closed. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read Resolution 23897 by number and title only.
Resolution number 23897 relating to city clerk approval of bingo license application for Annette Creek LLC.
What is the council's pleasure?
Your Honor, I move we pass and adopt permit number 23897.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Mr. Fimbres?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Mixulic? Mayor Romero?
Aye. Resolution 23897 passes by a vote of 7-0. Item 9,
Adjournment.
council will stand adjourned. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 at or after 5:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming and have a wonderful rest of your week.